Let's start this segment by taking a look at the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, where major story is another sad situation of Boko Haram killing about 40 farmers in Borno. And of course, survivors are saying about this. This happened yesterday. That's after we had a discussion about the collateral damage situation that happened in Zamfara State. Now, riders are saying victims for mass burial today. Pursue attackers, Zulum tells the military. You'll find this story on page 4. Below there, we see the federal government confirms bird flu outbreak in Kano. Interesting and sad. PDP crisis, Anyao resumes as a secretary despite court order. Lawmakers query JAM for spending 9 billion naira on meals, trips, trainings, and others. And below the headmaster, we see tax reform bill top agenda as National Assembly resumes today. Since that cost Lagos Speaker his seat. You want details of that? We saw how the Lagos State Assembly just removed the speaker there. So if you want details, you'd find on page 23. Single-use textbooks. Parents allege racketeering in private schools. There is that major concern on the prices of textbooks, in primary and secondary school. And the alarming thing is that you spend almost 100,000 for it, and your next child cannot use it because every year there's a change in the curriculum, which it does not even make sense. Now, these are some of the stories that you'd find on the Daily Trust newspaper today.
All right, on Guardian, moving on now to Guardian. USSD codes may become inactive in 14 days over bank's 250 billion naira debt. We see that though the CBN has stated that payment agreements, whether as lump sum or installments, must be finalized by January 2nd with full settlement due by July 2nd. Telcos are now backed by the NCC to suspend USSD services over poor commitments from 18 banks. It's been having issues before. All right, moving away from that now, federal government okays 1,125 naira daily feeding allowance for correctional inmates, and it's still there now. Clark seeks suspension of NGF as report exposes state shortcoming. Lagos broadcast station NLC protests non-payment of minimum wage, and Ohaneze Ikwere groups threaten protest over Mbata's emergence. Still on The Guardian, tax reform bill set for passage as Senate FIRS okays clear key hurdles, and NAS probes allege 4 trillion naira loss to waivers by agencies. Now, these are the stories we have on the front pages of The Guardian. Do well to grab yourself a copy to keep yourself involved.
All right. Now we have in the studio to help us analyze this topic, Dr. Theophilus Abba, the Program Director of Daily Trust, the Foundation. Good morning, Doctor. Good to have you.
Good morning. Thank you.
So we spoke about this security issues yesterday, and now just yesterday we heard of Boko Haram attack. I mean, it's been a while since we had Boko Haram, but then from last year ending towards the beginning of this year, it's becoming consistent now. What is your take on the situation of insecurity?
Well, I think if you follow the literature that we are reading now concerning the current Boko Haram attacks, it's like it's been linked to the face-off between Nigeria and Niger Republic, because it's like the Nigerians, I mean, they may not be doing what they used to do to deter Boko Haram, and then like they have chased them from their territory, and then they are now amassing in Nigeria. But then the strength of Boko Haram, is their numbers. I think the CDS was talking about they having about 120,000 fighters. Now, if they have 120,000 fighters, it means that they can mobilize tens of thousands, concentrated attack on a particular location. So if you read the story, you discover that they overwhelm the community. They were talking about 1,000 farmers, 1,000 fishermen, and you now have this number who overwhelmed them to the point that they couldn't resist. Now, if Boko Haram fighters were, let's say, 30 or 40, and you had 1,000 farmers in that environment, they will say, even if you kill 40, we'll fight back. Okay. But then they come in their numbers. Now, if you compare the number of soldiers that we have 223,000 soldiers. Boko Haram has 120,000 fighters. Now, the next thing I want to do is this. These 223,000 soldiers are not concentrated. They are scattered all over. There are those who are doing office job. There are those who are doing diplomatic work. There are those who are doing this, guarding top government officials. All sorts of things they are doing. 223 scattered around this. But Boko Haram has concentrated fighters. So if they want to move, and is their strategy, if they want to move to attack a location, they go in their numbers. You know, they will say, okay, the people that we expect to find there are 2,000. Let's go with 10,000. So even when you kill 5, 10, 15 of them, you know, it wouldn't mean much, especially because of the nature of the people they have, recruited. You know, they conscript people, you know, they compel young men to join them and all this and all that, and then they pay them. So what I'm saying is, let me put it that way. We have argued it again and again that the number of fighters that we have, the number of soldiers that we have, the number of security operatives that we have, they are not enough for the kind of war we are fighting.
So we need
now, if you talk about, this is just Boko Haram having about 120,000. Then you talk about ISWAP having their own number. Then you talk about bandits having their own number. Then you talk about Lakurawa having their own number. You see, so these people, they know that, for you to be able to fight, government, you need numbers and they overwhelm. And so, we say that, look, there's need to recruit more. I think the last time soldiers were recruited, I think it was 2019 or thereabouts.
But the president, that was one of his promises. He said there will be a massive recruitment.
You see, because if there is no massive recruitment, you'll be able to fight to defeat these guys. For instance, even if you get intelligence report that Boko Haram will plan to attack Baga, for instance, because they attacked the Baga area. You heard that they want to attack Baga, for instance. That's how many men do I have? Okay, we have only 100 soldiers here. You know, if we deploy all of them, they won't be able to deal with them. Okay, let's go with 50. You understand? Then the trucks. What kind of trucks are you using? Are the trucks good to maneuver in a difficult environment like that?
And then let's not forget that even the Chief of Defense Staff came out to say that these people are getting more sophisticated. They have fighter drones as the day goes by. But now let's move away from that quickly. Tax reform bill set for passage for Senate and FRS clear key hurdles. These key hurdles that have been cleared have not been brought public. I don't know if you've had access to it, but I have not seen it. And it still brings out the question of transparency and accountability towards Nigerians. What's your take on how the tax reform bill created so much drama? All of a sudden, we're just seeing headlines dropping here and there, no much underlying details to it.
Well, I think perhaps the hurdle it cleared is at the level of the National Assembly. But then, you see, there's going to be public hearing. And then when you have a public hearing, stakeholders, you know, will go to the National Assembly to put their position, to advance their positions. For instance, I expect the Nigerian Governors Forum, you know, to have a team of lawyers or experts who will go to the National Assembly and say, look, we have issues with section this, section that, section this, section that. You understand? So, and we expect that a cross-section of Nigeria, so the civil society organization, you will also have the opportunity of going to the National Assembly to say, this cannot work, this can work. And then we have the industry experts, you know, like there's and that's what I was reading, that in the free trade zone, you still pay tax if you produce goods that are sold in Nigeria. Now, the idea of a free trade zone is that you produce for export. If for any reason your good comes to Nigeria, to sell in Nigeria, you pay tax. But they are now saying, no, whether you are produced for export or you must pay tax. And I've also talked about this issue of ID card, that you must have a tax ID card before you can operate a bank account. And I was saying that if you must have a tax ID card for you to operate a bank account, it means that even those who are earning less than the minimum wage, who are in rural areas, will be compelled to pay tax.
Which is contradictory to what the
you can't get a tax ID card without you paying tax. You understand? So there are a whole lot of issues. Then you talk about the VAT issue, which is neither here nor there. People are arguing here up and down. So I'm thinking that it's still not totally cleared, you know, because the National Assembly has to conduct a public hearing, and that is going to be a very a very tough one, because if people will come to advance their positions at the National Assembly.
We'll have to wait and see how that unfolds. But quickly, let's talk about the federal government confirming bird flu outbreak in Kano. I mean, we've had a lot of outbreaks of different, epidemic, and then now we're having bird flu resurface again in Nigeria. What's your take on how the government perhaps making plans to curtail this?
Okay, I don't know what exactly they are doing to curtail it, but then the important thing is to ensure that infected birds are not sold for human consumption, because they will affect the human health. So the agencies of government that are responsible, must ensure that the quarantine, I don't know whether that is the right one, they isolate those ones that are infected and be sure that there is no spread. Then there's need for a lot of enlightenment. Those who engage in poultry farming, should know what to do, to prevent their birds from being infected, or to know how to handle infected birds. Usually this is the season, the Harmattan season is when we also have bird flu, when you have deaths of birds and all those things. So it's something that occurs almost every year, you understand? But then those who are in charge, those who have that mandate to ensure that this thing does not spread to affect the human health, they must act quickly and must give all the instruments. If they are supposed to be, any whatever infrastructure that are necessary will be put in place. Yes.
All right. I think we have a few minutes. I want you to take this topic about Lagos. Yes, a House of Assembly. We saw a dramatic turn. There was a bit of chaos in that house, and then all of a sudden yesterday they made that decision of taking him off and even swearing in someone new quickly. What's your take on how everything unfolded? Well,
a lot of things are happening in Lagos. Initially, we heard that somebody who is close to the president, I think the president's son, was interested. And then we kept denying it. Oh, no, it's not true. Then we started reading people endorsing him as, okay, this group endorsing for governor and all this and all that. But you see, from my readings of what has happened to Obasa is a very powerful politician. For any government, any political party to do anything in Lagos, you must carry Obasa along. So for him to fall in this manner, it's like an Iroko falling, you understand? But then we keep hearing all sorts of things. First of all, was accused of corruption. When somebody is accused of corruption, it's actually expose yourself. Talk about a constituency project, not executed, funds, and all this and all that. And usually in Nigerian political environment, you are allowed to do some things, you are given some liberty to do some things, but then you're actually digging your grave. So when, they want to take on you, they use those things to say, okay, these are the things you have done. A lot of evidence. In fact, most politicians, you can easily take them down because there is so much evidence that you can use that against them. But then a lot of people were saying that he made what we call he committed a political suicide by telling the governor in December that he qualifies to be a governor, and that even those who are governor are no better than him and things like that. While the governor was presenting the budget, the proposed budget for 2025. From what we are reading, it's like he even kept the governor waiting. The courtesy or the diplomacy, that kind of respect was supposed to give what he was giving. He came late to the meeting, and then when he began to make his statement, he was saying, "Oh, I'm not too young to be a governor."
So basically,
and those who are better than some people.
Basically,
so a whole lot of things that were playing out.
It was a power tussle.
So it's a kind of power tussle.
I feel I've seen even the track record of Lagos. I don't think a senator should be the leader of that Senate for almost 10 years. To be a speaker for almost 10 years. I think there's been a pattern like that.
Yes.
It's just too much. I think power, when you're allowed to hold power for that long, it just gets into your head.
But my own worry is that, you see, if the State House of Assembly does not act independently, if somebody had to push them to do whatever,
then there's a problem.
Then their independence is questionable.
Truly,
that's my own worry. Because
due to time, I would love this conversation, because from everything that you explained, that was exactly what it's garnering towards, where the senators will not pick things themselves, but instead they have to wait for someone and then they chew each other. I think Nigerians would have applauded them if they made the decision on their own, not because he disrespected the governor. But thank you so much, Dr. Theophilus Aba, for joining us this morning. Always a pleasure.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you.
All right, with that, we have come to the end of Daybreak. Thank you so much for staying with us. Stick with us. Top of the hour, Emmanuel Fashemi will bring you 360 Sport. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Bye for now.
And I am Lilian Ogazi. Do have a great day ahead.